Good night, everybody. Welcome to our platform. Feel free to grab yourself your favorite cup of tea. We will begin in 5 minutes. We will begin in 2 minutes. Please remember to grab your favorite tea.
Wow. All right. Welcome. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed that beautiful ambience that has set the pace for this evening's event. I think that we're acting right. I'm not sure what's happening. There's a bit of an echo. Uh, However, I hope we'll continue on. I hope that that remedies itself. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, one more time. I'm not sure. We're trying to figure out this technical issue right now. This is new, not sure where that is coming from. The echo is coming from. Oh dear. Give us a second, please. Okay. Is there an echo coming back on your side?
No, we're good. We're not hearing an
No
echo.
echo. No echo.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. I apologize. There's been several. I'm sorry. Every time I speak. Okay. So I'll just proceed on. Right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on. Listen, nothing is going to spoil this beautiful ambience that has been set for us here this evening. So, welcome one more time to the Flourish Room, where women bloom and purpose grows. Just to remind our audience, this is our regular monthly meetup, now under the name The Flourish Room. When you come into this space, we want you to know that this is a safe space, and we want you to feel free to share any of your concerns that you have. I'm sorry, there's something happening on my side. There's just an echo and I can barely hear myself here. All right, I just need to get some help here. Carry on. Okay. Right. So just as a reminder, we're in the Flourish Room. And as the song says, everything that's dead comes alive in the room, in this room where God's presence is. Before I go further, I want to introduce myself. As usual, I am Adela Allen, your host, and with me are my co partners. the very competent and talented Andreen Palmer and Vashti Ellis. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So please follow us. And Vashti will drop the goodness, I'm so sorry. I'm going to ask our administrator to help us out here with this issue that I'm having on this end. Nobody's able to hear the issue, but I can't hear myself. All right. It's continuing on my end here. All right. Thanks for dropping the our social media platform information in the chat. Now, tonight is a very special night. As you can see, I'm wearing my fascinator. More importantly, I have my favorite cup of tea with me in my favorite teacup as well that I'll be sipping throughout this segment. And I just thought that I'll go in full attire, like the British women who often dress in their hats at their tea gathering. And so now I'm going to now go to the next segment.
Hello, hello, everyone. It's tea time. Grab your favorite cup of tea and put on your camera. We want to see you, and we want to see your teacup with your favorite brew. And here's what I'm going to talk about today. We're going to have a little gratitude moment. And so before we sip, I'll share one. You share one thing that you're grateful for this week. Whether big or small, gratitude is a must. And so gratitude sweetens the soul, just like honey sweetens our tea. Yeah. And so I'm going to ask you one thing. You can drop it in the chat. One thing that you're grateful for this week, be it big or small, you can just mention it in the chat. Now, turn on your cameras. Don't forget to turn on your cameras and put in the chat what you are grateful for. This is Tea Time Gratitude Moment. Man, and so I'm going to ask Sister Vashti, what are you grateful for at this moment?
I am grateful for warmth.
Sounds good. Anyone else? Put it in the chat, turn on your cameras. What are you grateful for? I'm grateful for having a combination of mint from my garden, fever grass, lemongrass, ginger, and honey. Isn't that great, Sister Marie Williams? Anyone else?
I'm grateful. I went for a walk for around 10 minutes today, and I'm grateful that I could just go for a walk for 10 minutes.
That is great. That is great. So everyone's telling what they're grateful for. What I'm grateful for, I'm grateful that I have my family with me. I am grateful for that. And so Unisha, I am grateful for life. Yes, we're all grateful for that.
I am grateful that I'm in my right mind.
Amen. Amen. And Mavis is saying that she's grateful for family. Yes, it's important. So grateful moment. And Sister Vashti will now proceed.
All right. So we're going to add to the tea time. Did everybody get a chance to grab their favorite cup of tea? This is where you get a chance to share what's in your cup. I heard about lemongrass or fever grass a few minutes ago with honey and ginger. But we want to kind of go around the space and kind of check what is it that you're sipping on tonight? What tea are you sipping on? I know many of you are from the Caribbean, or maybe you're from the US, or you're from England. I think I heard a British accent just a few minutes ago, right? Oh, there you go. You're in a line with Sister Dell's attire tonight. There we go. And so some of you may know, we kind of want to know what are some of the teas that you're familiar with. You probably grew up with your grandma, and she used to make some kind of a mix up concoction, right? That you know for sure you didn't die from, and you're here today to tell us what it is about. Okay. So some of the teas that we have, anybody heard about bitter melon vine? Bitter melon vine. It's, I think its scientific name is called Cerasee. Anybody know about Cerasee tea? That bitter
Yes.
tea? Okay, there you go. I want to give you a little bit of a benefit of drinking Cerasee tea. It's good for detoxing the body, and it supports your skin and your liver health. Did you know that? You better grab another when you go to grocery shopping this week. Buy some Cerasee. What about bay leaf tea? Anybody know about bay leaf? Bay
Yes.
leaf. Come on, don't
Yes.
keep me hanging here
Yes.
tonight.
Oh,
Unmute,
yes.
interact with me.
Yes.
All right. What about busy tea? The Jamaicans in the house. Anybody know about busy?
Good for
Yes.
everything.
Busy tea. All right. Busy tea, it supports digestion and is very good for fatigue relief. Can you imagine that? Okay, the chat is blowing up. I'm going to come to the chat soon. All right, please share what's in your cup. What about fever grass tea? Who knows about fever grass tea? Okay, all right. I see a few hands here. There we go. I want to share a little experience about growing up in the old country Grenada. Okay. Anybody know what the lime tree look like? Lime tree? Okay.
Yes.
I remember my mom or my dad, which one of them, they used to go out and pick the little bud on the lime tree, and you put it in the pot and you steep that. Here is a tea. It's called lime tea. There we go. What about what about the times when you would peel an orange? Peel an orange. Okay, I see some, your heads are nodding. And then guess what? You dry the peel, and guess what happens? You have orange peel tea. There you go. There's a tea for you. Okay, let me hear some teas in here. I drink pomegranate and raspberry tea. Okay, thank you for sharing that. I think your name is Wena, or can you just type what the benefits of drinking that in there? Pastor Marie again, fever grass,
Oh, she
tea
has a lot
knocks
here.
out any fever, any fever. Anybody have fever? You better take this down tonight. Fever grass, better known as, the scientific name is lemongrass. It knocks out any fever. Garlic and lemongrass. Ooh, garlic and
Mhm.
lemongrass. What a concoction here. Okay. All right. I'm drinking clove tea. That's Dr. Udani. She's going to be coming to us soon with dried ginger. It's great for digestion and for immune support. We're in Canada here. We're about to go in this winter. Hello, immune support. We need that. Ooh, Shavern, she says guinea pepper tea. Ooh,
Wow.
Shavern, you got to come online, please. Unmute and do share. What is this? Help us. Help us out.
Okay. I can't put my video on right now, but it's I don't know if it's in the other Caribbean countries,
Okay.
but that's what we call it.
Pepper.
It tastes really good. I can't even explain the taste,
Yeah.
but it's a unique. It's a longish leaf,
Okay.
and I even have some right now in my kitchen I brought from home. But
Oh, show
yeah,
us the leaf.
we drink it. It tastes so good. I love it. I always get it when I'm coming back.
All right. Well,
I wonder if it's like guinea,
Guinea pepper
what we
tea.
call guinea.
oh,
No, it's different. It's like okay, I have a lot of tea. I'm gonna
okay.
try and see if I get a picture and post it in the chat.
Please do.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
Picture,
thank you.
post it for us. Help us out. I want to read Christina's tea. She has dried ginger root, soursop leaf, and what is that? Manuka honey. Okay, that sounds good. All right, keep the teas coming in. Keep the teas coming in. So,
Puka.
what is this one, Sister Andreen? Oh, we keep
It's puka. Let me see. Yes, there it is.
hookah tea.
Puka tea, and the honey is manuka, so they call it puka manuka.
Hookah manuka. There you go.
Yes.
Anybody heard about dandelion tea?
Yes.
Yes. What about aloe vera tea? Ooh, that sounds like it's
Yes.
bitter, no?
Hmm?
Hey,
No.
and we have, I'll give you a little bit of story and we'll transition from here. There is this thing for those who grew up in in the Caribbean. I don't know if you do this in North America, but when you were younger and you were going back to school, what did mom and dad do? There is a tea.
Wash out. Get rid of all the
That's
worms.
terrible tea. Terrible in its taste.
Yes, right. So there is a tea that it's called we in the good old country back where I'm from, we call it Cenepods. And that tea
Ah,
with getting rid of all the stuff you ate over the summertime and set you up well for the school term. All right. So we're going to get into the time now. We're going to hear from the doctor, but it was very important to us that we took time to talk about the different teas and some of the benefits that the various teas have. Back to you, Sister Del.
all right. Wow, great. Thank you, Vashti. I hope you all enjoyed that session. And we're going to have to package all of those teas that were shared and share them with you in our one of our social media platforms. All right. I didn't get to share what was in my cup. I'm sipping on honey and lemon. That's one of my favorite teas. Also, Earl Grey is also another one of my favorite teas. But interestingly, Cenapod is what is it in Grenada? What you guys used to do to clean ourselves. In Jamaica, we use the bitterwood. I'm sure we had some Jamaicans here online, and maybe different things we use, but one of the things that my grandmother gave us is bitterwood. All right.
And matcha herb.
Oh,
Matcha herb.
Madra herb.
Yes.
Okay, there
Oh
you
my God.
go. All right, ladies, thank you. Now, we can't wait for the next segment here to hear from the doctor we have with us in the room, in the Flourish room, the Dr. Udani, who is no stranger to us. In fact, she takes a special interest in women's health, digestive issues, chronic pain, stress, cardiometabolic, and skin conditions. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the very warm and compassionate woman, Dr. Udani.
Thank you so much, everybody. It's so nice to join everyone again. I am always so grateful to have this opportunity. I loved speaking at Ascend. I think it was about maybe a while back, 6 months ago, maybe. So I'm just really excited that I'm here again. So I loved hearing everyone's tea, and I have my own as well here. So let's jump and start with our talk today. I'm going to share my screen and we can get started. Alrighty, so let me know if everyone can see this. Today we have a really
Yes.
amazing topic. Thank you so much. About the silent drainers. So these are the things that our everyday habits that we might think are good for us. They make us be productive, but they can really steal our vitality. And how can we overcome them naturally? So it's a really exciting topic, and I'm so excited to give you lots of information here, and we'll still keep it fun and interactive. Okay, so let's move on. So, what is vitality? When you think about vitality, I think about energy. I think about having the physical energy, the mental capacity, able to enjoy life, to live a purposeful life. And it's also just about how good you feel. So there's things that can increase our vitality and there's things that can decrease our vitality. And oftentimes, all of us have the vital force. So if we didn't have any vitality, we would be dead. So we all have it. And some of us might have a little bit more than the others. And that's where we want to figure out what are some things that we can do to improve our vitality. So when we think about vital force, think about children. They have so much energy, they're running around, they are hyper, they're laughing, they're smiling. Think about it, that's vital force there. But even think about if you are an older person, but you have the energy to exercise or your mind is sharp. That's an example of vital force too. And vitality can also be found in nature. Things like being in a forest, in the beach, and even in things like our food. These all contain a vital force that help with the way we live and to increase our quality of life. But sometimes, and these are the signs that can show you that you have a lot of vitality. So if you go from top to bottom, we think about our physical health. So having healthy vital signs, these are healthy blood pressure, good heart rate, good markers when you go to your doctor and you get good results from your blood work. That's good as well. Maybe not having chronic illnesses, not being sick all the time, not being in pain all the time, having good energy levels. These are signs of good, positive physical vitality. And also mental clarity is a big one too. Having the positive outlook about your life, being resilient to stress, and having that purpose and motivation, which I think is one of the main reasons I love speaking at Ascend, is because of this purpose, the motivation, and the positive outlook that all the ladies have, which is so infectious. And then number 3 is emotional well-being. So, being available emotionally to yourself, but also to others, being self-aware, and having a healthy emotional regulation, so that way you're not, going down the dark and gloomy path or feeling very anxious, and you're able to live in gratitude. So these are all signs of vitality that helps us get through the hurdles of life. But sometimes, as often, life is not always positive, right? So there could be hurdles, there could be things, emergencies, things that can come that can affect our vitality. So what are some signs? What are some common signs that tell you that you might have lost your zest for life? So these things can creep up on you, and sometimes you might not even notice them until you're standing in front of the mirror and you're wondering what happened. So here are some common signs of low vitality. Some of the most common things that I see from my patients, that I see in my practice, is they are complaining of fatigue. Like they're tired all the time, they feel unmotivated, they don't even sometimes want to work on themselves, or they have barely enough energy to take care of their kids. You might feel like this, and this is actually a sign of low vitality. You might feel slow. So this could be like thinking slow, but also moving slow as well. You might just not be feeling well. So you might be feeling like there's a lot of pain. You might be feeling sick all the time. Your body can be hurting, and you just don't want to get out of bed. Now that can be a sign of depression. Low vitality and depression quite often go hand in hand. So you might notice that a lot of these signs can be signs of low mood, anxiety, and depression. So even things like what used to light you up don't light you up anymore, or you feeling disappointed in yourself because you've let yourself down or let someone else down. These can all be signs of low vitality. So if you said, I think some of these sound like me, or some of these sound like a lovely lady that I know, this is the presentation for you, because I'm going to go down and explain the silent drainers and the things that we can do every day to stop our vitality from draining from us. So, what does the research say? I wanted to jump into this just for a little bit because there is a difference between women and men. So, this was a study that was done long term for decades, from 1990 to 2021, that showed that the biggest loss of health in women tend to be low back pain, depression disorders, headaches, anxiety disorders, other musculoskeletal, dementia, and sexually transmitted diseases like HIV and AIDS. Now, whereas for men, it's more things like heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes. But for women, it's these like more conditions that really drain us. And so the difference between women and men in with respect to this is that these health conditions can start earlier and can get worse as we get older. So all of these conditions can affect our vitality, affect our energy, and they tend to actually start earlier in us as women, which is so unfair. But what can we do, right? We need to figure out how we can stop it and optimize ourselves. So another thing is that around the world, when it comes to health concerns for women, they tend to be more underfunded compared to men. And so a lot of times these conditions go either unchecked, like let's say you go to the doctor and they kind of ignore what's going on, or there's not enough resources available to give you a proper plan to tackle this. And over the past 30 years, we've had a lot of progress with health. So us as women, we're living much longer. We're actually living a lot longer than men, but we're not really living well. So we're living longer, but we're living more years in poor health because of these significant health conditions. So this is why as women, we need to advocate for ourselves, and we need to be aware of these potentially lifelong health conditions that do affect our overall health, and what are things to help to maintain our vitality and our health. So let's talk about the silent drainers. So these are daily habits. So that you might be doing, and some of these I'm guilty as well. So there's no judgment here, but they can slowly drain our health and vitality without us even noticing it. Over time, it can build up and it can lead to mental, emotional, and physical drain. And a lot of these habits are not very productive, even if it feels like the right thing to do. So let's jump in to the first one, which is skipping meals. So, I think a lot of us are guilty of this, especially when we're in a rush, or we have so much work to do, or we're taking care of our children or our family. We tend to rush out the door with just coffee or nothing at all. And what this does is, first of all, we need to have a proper meal. So as women, we're built differently to men. We can't really go too long without having a meal because that will cause a lot of hormonal dysfunction. Now, of course, there's case-by-case differences. Some people do better with fasting, but overall for women, we do need to have something as soon as we wake up to keep our hormones regulated. Skipping meals or eating too little does tend to slow down your metabolism and stress your adrenal glands. Now, you might be wondering, what do you mean eating little? Eating too little can slow down my metabolism. Like, I thought if I don't eat, I'll lose weight, right? But actually, because we have so many different hormones interplaying, we do need good quality food to help us to increase our metabolism. So what happens when we skip meals is we get the energy dips, we get the cravings, we're irritable, we're snapping, we might get road rage, we have brain fog. And a lot of times we just feel tired and drained at the end of the day. I just had a visit with a patient before this talk, and she was talking about the same thing. She's like, she's a wonderful teacher, but as soon as she's done work, she comes home and she's grabbing the sugar. She's going for the processed food because that's the first thing she's like wanting because she's so hungry because she didn't have meals or a proper meal during the day. Now, this is why when we go for that sugar, it's actually not good for us. Think about the sugar like a roller coaster. Okay, so this is a cool cartoon that talks about the processed sugar ride. Now, when we are in a hurry, we tend to go for something we can grab quickly, right? Think a muffin, coffee, a pastry, chocolate, sugar. But we might feel good for like 2 hours and then we will crash hard because it's simple sugar, it's processed sugar. So our body actually processes it quickly and says, all right, so I don't have any more food. What's next? So you go through a huge crash and then you're going to go through another spike where you want to crave sugar again. So imagine doing this day in and day out, right? You're going to be irritable. Your body's not going to get the nutrition it needs. And you're just not going to be like a pleasant person to be around, And it does really affect your vitality because you just can't focus and do the things that you want to be doing. Whereas if you were to eat something healthy and long sustaining that keeps you full for longer, the roller coaster becomes a lot more smoother. And you can come out of it at the end of the day feeling a lot more calm, stable, energized, and not grabbing the sweets and things like that. So these are some of the natural fixes. So I just spoke about the sugar, but I will go a lot more in detail about this in the future slides. Is like I was mentioning for women, we need to eat. All right. Within 1 hour of waking, try to have a balanced meal. Now don't overthink it. Really stick to the basics. Have some protein, have some fiber, have a healthy fat. This could be nut butter, MCT oil, which is coconut oil. It's amazing, not just for skin, hair. It's also great on food as well, on top of toast, for example. So we want some protein and fiber because this really helps to balance our roller coaster of energy. And we want to really have it within 1 hour of waking up because that's when our body starts the day, right? So our bodies need to know that there's food around. If there isn't food around, it's going to actually get into the starvation mode, where it's not really burning fat, it's trying to hoard onto things because it thinks that we're not going to get any food as the day goes on. That's why for women, it's very important to have something healthy within the first hour of waking up. Balance your coffee. So I know everyone drinks coffee. I drink it as well. Try to drink it after breakfast, not before, because coffee on an empty stomach can cause a lot of other issues, which I'm going to go into detail the next slide. If you don't like coffee, try matcha. You could have herbal coffee alternatives like dandelion root tea. Green tea is another great option too. And keeping your blood sugar steady. Remember that roller coaster. If we go for the sweets as much, we are going to crash a bit more. So if you have a protein and fiber or a fat with each meal, you're going to be great. Now, let's say you have a sweet tooth. Who doesn't really, right? I have a sweet tooth as well. So one of my favorite snacks would be dates with a little bit of almond in the middle and covered with some dark chocolate, for example. So there's sweet in it, but there's a bit of fat and there's some fiber because of the date as well. So something like that, or even think about Greek yogurt. If you have a Greek yogurt with some fruit, that will help keep everything more stable compared to if you were just having a pastry. Hydration is also very important because fatigue, if you're tired, you actually might be dehydrated. We want to aim for as much water as we can daily, and we want to add electrolytes and lemon as well. So why is coffee on an empty stomach bad? I think a lot of us tend to just grab coffee, and a lot of times we don't really tend to even be hungry, right, in the morning. But what coffee over time does is it's very acidic in the stomach, so it increases your stomach acid. You can get heartburn and even get inflammation of the stomach lining. This is why I said to have some food first and then have the coffee, because this can help offset this issue. Coffee also increases your cortisol. So I don't know if you know what cortisol hormone is, but it is our stress hormone. So the more coffee we drink, it does tend to spike our cortisol. And it can also cause the sugar crash as well. More coffee you drink, the more anxious you will feel. You'll get the jitters, you'll feel the anxiety because adrenaline is pumping. Now, this might be okay to start the day, but the thing is, this is not really sustainable. So, as the day goes on, there's going to be a crash and you're going to feel drained. Sometimes when you do drink coffee, you do get the diarrhea, you get a little bit of looser bowel movements. And coffee is dehydrating. So, I always say if you're drinking coffee, you got to make sure you have a glass of water as well. Now, let's see if you have high blood pressure. Coffee can absolutely increase your blood pressure and increase your risk of getting headaches and migraines as the day go on too. So the tip here is don't skip meals, and also don't have coffee on an empty stomach, because that will definitely drain you as the day goes on. Protein is your bestie. Protein with a meal is actually extremely healthy. It's very good because it breaks down slower. So it'll keep you feeling fuller for longer. Now, a lot of times in different diets, we don't really prioritize protein that much. We don't. It might be a thing where we have to just really prioritize having a bit more of the eggs, a bit more of, for example, Greek yogurt, more lentils. Protein bars can actually also be very helpful too. Now, protein is also great because it helps you to lose weight faster too. It has a high thermic effect. What does that mean? It means that the body uses more calories to actually break down the protein than it does to carbs and fat. So when you're having protein, you're actually increasing your muscle mass, you're being fuller for longer, you have more energy, but you're also actually helping your weight loss too. So that's why protein I consider is your bestie. And really the only time that you would be contraindicated to have protein in your diet would be if you have something of an issue with your kidneys, but that's oftentimes really like end stage kidney issues. So if you don't have that, if you're not suffering from that, you can actually have a lot of protein in your diet. Now, I really want to really hit the point about the sugar and why sugar can be such a drainer. And I talked about the roller coaster, but sugar can really reshape your brain. So our brain runs on sugar. It's the number one fuel for our brain. And when it knows that there's an easy way for us to get sugar, it's going to get fixed on it. So our brain we can get addicted to sugar because of this. So things like soda, candy, cupcakes, cereals, and snack bars, a lot of times there's just so much sugar in them, and our brain can actually overload in it too. Did you know that Alzheimer's or dementia is called type 3 diabetes? And that's because of high blood sugar affecting the brain. So it can actually shrink the brain and can cause sleep issues, emotional regulation, anxiety. All of that can be because of issues with you wanting and craving sugar. That's why, having more protein, having a little bit more healthy fat in your diet can really help you to train your brain as well. Now, I also have a sweet tooth, I'm not gonna lie, but what helps me is if I have the chocolate with some fat, so some nuts, or some seeds. That helps to balance that blood sugar, so that way it's not going to really cause my brain to have a huge sugar rush and then crash. I almost never drink soda or sugary drinks. I rarely have cupcakes or blueberry treats. If I do, I oftentimes follow it up with some tea. So some green tea, for example. because that really helps to detoxify your body of the excess sugar as well. Water is energy. So, we're not, oftentimes, I have so many patients who I ask, how much water are you drinking? And it's one of these things that is so easy for us to forget. If the water's not in front of us, in the form of tea or actual water, we don't necessarily drink it, and we're always brushing and busy. So you might actually be dehydrated and you might not be tired. It's the dehydration that's the issue. So here's a very easy to do electrolyte drink recipe. You just need a glass of water, a pinch of Himalayan or Celtic salt, some lemon, and then optional is honey to taste. This can really help to introduce minerals into your body that can help with and also help to hydrate you. I also say in the morning, drink 1 glass of warm or room temperature water first thing in the morning, because when you introduce liquid into the body, first thing in the morning as the body's waking up, you're really lowering your blood pressure, you're making sure you're awake, you're priming the digestion, and you're nourishing your arteries as well. Okay, so I want to do a quick check-in with everybody. How is everyone doing? Is everyone enjoying their tea and the talk? Does anyone need to go for a little break, or is everyone okay to continue?
I'm okay. Good evening,
I'm
everyone.
okay.
Okay.
Good evening. Hi. Welcome again, everybody. So nice to see you for a new guest, Genevieve, Joseph, Lena. So nice to see you on. Thanks for coming on again, Shavern. Yeah, so I'm enjoying this. Wow. Very detailed information so far. How's everybody else?
Very informative. Thank you so much thus far.
We're doing great.
Yeah, great
Okay.
information. Thank you
Great.
Great.
for this.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, everyone. All right, so we'll keep going then. So we talked about skipping meals as the first drainer. Now we're going to talk about number 2, which is living in fight or flight. So a lot of us as high achieving women, we can be guilty of this. Think like constant multitasking, taking care of our loved ones, even being just like a bit of a perfectionist on what we do because we're really proud of what we do. This can keep our cortisol levels elevated. And like I was saying before, our cortisol is our stress hormone. So over time, as our adrenal glands, which are these tiny little glands that stay on top of our kidneys, they tend to keep pumping out cortisol. It tends to get tired, and then it leads to burnout, issues with your sleep, low libido, and hormonal chaos. This is something I often see in my practice. And so the first thing we got to do when this kind of draining is happening is to address it head on. So we think about stress and we think like stress is supposed to be all negative, but that's not necessarily true. Stress, there's a spectrum. Some stress can actually help us to be optimal. It keeps us energized, focused, and we work effortlessly. And this is that happy medium. But what can happen is after prolonged time where we don't take a break, we don't go on vacation, or we just don't have like a weekend off, things like that, the stress keeps continuing and it leads to distress. This is where the fatigue, the exhaustion, the breakdown, and the burnout start to come. And this is where the vitality slows down. So it's highly, highly important that we become aware when we're reaching the stage so that way we can stop it and be more proactive about it. Excuse me, I'm going to have a little bit of tea. So this is the stress curve, and so you might even want to take a picture of this to see where you might be at. A lot of times, if you're in the burnout stage, which is at the end of the curve, this is where we do need to prioritize a bit more of the rest and give you some support to your adrenals. All righty. Let me go to the next slide now. So this is a really interesting paradigm or theory that I studied from this fabulous doctor called Dr. Rick Hansen, and he talks about the paper tiger paranoia. So this is actually an evolutionary thing that our brains are developed to. Our brains are always primed to look for danger and for predators, right? Because back in the day, it helped us to survive. You know, if we were able to get away from the predators, then we had time to look for food. So the fear, the negativity was the main thing that kept us going. And so our brain has an inherent negativity bias. So this was very useful when we were trying to survive and we were surrounding us so much danger. But during our current lifestyles, this is not necessarily that much more useful. But our brains haven't really evolved at the same speed as society. So in our mind, we still respond the same way to perceived threats, even if there are no threats. Even if there is no tiger and it's just a paper tiger, our minds and our brains can sometimes really think the most negative thing instead of going for the positive. And this is why the rates of anxiety, rates of depression, this is one of the reasons that it is rising in our generation in today's day and age, because we tend to really hold on to the negative and then have a hard time with celebrating the positivity because of the way our brain is primed. And when our brain is stressed, that adds more fuel to this paranoia. So then we actually feel even more drained as the time goes on. I really like this cartoon animation of the brain just stressed from the work and everything. It has cups and cups of coffee. So when we're really feeling anxious, this is where the paranoia of everything being worst case scenario starts to really become apparent. So what can we do to cool the fire of constantly being on fight or flight, constantly overworking, taking care of our children, our parents, is that we need to practice. We got to practice the healthy habits. Think about taking some micro breaks, think about taking deep breathing practices, walking, even gentle stretching, and checking with your body. So, a really good technique you can do is um, when you're relaxing, pay attention to where your tongue is on your mouth. If it's at the roof of your mouth, that means you are actually in fight or flight. So you're quite stressed. So you want to relax the tongue so that way it's laying on the floor of the mouth. Another one is unclenching your jaw. Sometimes our jaws tend to be extremely clenched because we're holding on to a lot of that stress. So unclenching the jaw and relaxing the tongue so that way it's laying on the floor is a way for us to know where we are in the stress scale. Another great technique is box breathing, which I'm going to explain to you in the next one, and we'll try and do this together so you can see how you feel after the technique is done. You might also, as a naturopathic doctor, I can recommend some individualized adrenal support, things such as herbs. So lemongrass, ashwagandha, rhodiola, holy basil are quite powerful in helping your adrenals to deal with stress. Prioritizing rest when you're in fight or flight is extremely important too. Sometimes, when we are working a lot, we don't really think about rest, but rest, the pause, is very productive. Check in with yourself as well at the end of the day, or maybe you're driving and you're stuck in traffic. Like, check in with yourself even then. Ask yourself, what do I need right now? What do I need to help me feel calmer? Something that you can also do is, and I loved that one of the ladies said that she went for a 10-minute walk today, which is so good because that's actually some time that you took for self-care. Something I love to do is going for a 20-minute nature walk, just scheduling that in your calendar, in your agenda, or even something like a witnessing meditation. This is where you observe your thoughts with no judgment, like watching the clouds pass by. So there's no attachment to it, but you're just watching the thought come and go. This helps your brain to not catastrophize things as well. So that way it helps you to be calmer and be more grounded. So I'm going to explain the box breathing in this slide. And if feel free to join me in doing this. It really helps to bring your system from fight or flight to rest and digest. So it's basically, you have to imagine that there is a box in front of you. And so when we're in fight or flight, we don't tend to breathe deeply. We tend to breathe very shallow. So this helps us to actually breathe deeper, and it activates your rest and digest phase. So you want to take a deep breath in and you hold it for 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And you release it for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So slow release. And then you pause again for 4. So you take a slow breathe in, hold it for 4, slow breathe out, and hold it for 4. So that's a very slow breath that you're taking in, but that helps to activate your vagus nerve and to bring your body into parasympathetic state. And you might even notice that after you do this technique, you feel calmer, you feel grounded, more grounded, and you might even be speaking slower. And that's okay, because that means you are in that relaxing stage. My favorite way to do this is actually when I'm driving and when I'm in rush hour, and there's just so much going around me. I just do this box breathing, and it feels like there's a weight that's been lifted off. And so this really prevents that fight or flight system from draining my vitality. I would highly recommend doing this practice even before you go to bed, because it can really help you feel more calmer and get ready for for a good night's sleep. Now I was mentioning about the paper tiger paranoia, where we are constantly looking for the negative. So that's why it's really hard sometimes to look at the good and what's happening that's good in our life. So this is an activity you can do. It's about how to take in the good. And because of the way our brain is developed, it holds on to the negative stuff a lot more than the positive stuff. The positive stuff tends to kind of fall off and they grab onto the negative. I'm sure you might have remembered you're laying in bed and this bad memory comes into your mind. You're like, oh my God, why can't I let go of that? That's just our brain, in that paranoia stage. So there are things we can do, though, that can help us to take in the good. So look for positive facts and then let them become positive experiences. How do you make it into a positive experience? Is you want to sustain the positivity for 10 to 20, 30 seconds. So for example, what the ladies did earlier today when the talk began, where we talked about the tea and what we're grateful for, that was a great positive experience, because we all laughed, we felt it, we felt connected, there was emotions attached to it. So I often tell my patients to, celebrate the good stuff. So if it's happening, do a little dance or do a little a high five or something to kind of get the body feel excited about the good that's happening, because then it helps the brain attach to the good a lot better. What are some kind of good things to take in? This doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be a fancy trip or a fancy massage or facial. This could be small pleasures of ordinary life. I call these glimmers. And so these are things like, you go for a 10-minute walk and you kind of observe what's going on in the world, or you feel grateful that you're able to move your body. You're grateful that you're eating healthy. And, this helps for us to feel safe and strong. And there's a bit of that forgiveness that we give to ourselves too, that good things are happening. It's not just all bad and doom and gloom that's going on. Sometimes it's about being part of a circle, such as this, where we feel included, we feel respected and loved by others, and that we feel like we're a part of a community. That's a way to celebrate the good as well. And there's also things like, having a practice where you practice spirituality, where you feel connected to something greater. That can also be a great and wonderful way to take in the good. So I would challenge everyone that's watching to practice this at least once a day, where you celebrate, you physically celebrate something good happening. And it could be something small, like let's say you I don't know, somebody opened the door for you to go in. You want to say thank you to that person, and you want to smile and just like make it into a positive experience. That can really go a long way. Okay. And I love this because a lot of times, exercising can be, um, our bodies and us, sometimes when the weather's cold too, we don't really want to go and move our bodies. But it's one of the best ways that we feel good and that we get out from the fight or flight into more of the feel happy, feel energized, have that vitality. Start with just 5 minutes a day. You don't need to go and start with like 30 minutes to an hour. Start with 5 minutes and then increase it by 5 minutes as you start to feel better. This can be really hard to do when it's dark outside or when you're feeling down and low, but just do something for 5 minutes, okay? And then go from there. Build yourself up. Pick an exercise also that you want to keep doing consistently, like walking or a dance class or yoga. Even things like daily habits where you take the stairs instead of taking the elevator, or you want to park a little further away from the store so you walk a bit more, or even you're walking in the mall with ankle weights or a weighted vest to do house chores. These are all parts of exercises that you could do that where you're moving your body. So exercise is actually the number one prescription for depression, especially in Europe. They don't recommend antidepressants as the first line therapy. Exercise is considered the first line therapy because it helps to get your body moving. And when you move, you feel that vitality returning to ourselves. The hardest thing is the first step, and then your body gets used to it and it becomes a habit. Number 3 is not being able to say no. So a lot of times as women, we tend to say yes to things that could be draining us. And sometimes we're always taking care of others before ourselves. So this can be really hard, especially if we are empathetic and we're giving. We don't want to disappoint others. But over time, what this does is it leads to emotional depletion. We might get resentful and we might feel exhausted. And when we're exhausted, really it's hard to come back from that spot. It'll take a lot longer to return to your happy, zestful life if you're in that exhaustion point. So what can we do when you are having trouble with saying no? You want to do things where there's a bit of space. So, for example, try to practice the pause before saying yes. So instead of saying yes quickly, just say things like, let me think about it, or let me check my schedule and get back to you. This gives a little bit of time for you to really gauge, do I want to do this? Does this light me up? Is this something I even have the capacity to do? But when you say it this way, it also lets the other person know that you're thinking about it. So that way you're not just saying no right away if you don't feel comfortable doing that. You can also start small and you can say no to one unnecessary obligation per week. This could be something small. Let's say, you need to, for example, you volunteer to do something, but now it doesn't really fit your schedule anymore. Perhaps now it's time to say, no, I can't do this every day, or every week. Another one is this is a healthy way to have boundaries. And, I talk a lot about boundaries because oftentimes boundaries help us to seal those drainers that kind of leave our lives and causes vitality to go down. So if you journal and reflect about things that drain you versus what nourishes you, you might be able to really see what really lights you up versus what are some things that you might be doing that aren't really helping you to be this wonderful, vibrant person that you are. Another really great technique is the power of the pause. So like I was talking about in the previous slides about the breath, you can practice the power of the pause as well. So this is called the stop technique. This is where you stop what you're doing, or you just take a break and you take a deep breath to feel into your body, and then you observe what you're feeling. So you observe the emotions, you observe the physical feelings that you're feeling, and then you proceed. So you might proceed to communicate that you need some time. You might proceed to take a break from everything and leave the environment. But this is where the pause can be very powerful because it can help you to figure out if this is something that you can say yes to, or if it's something that you're feeling forced to say yes to. Okay, another check-in time. We're at the last two drainers. So I just want to check in with everybody to see how you're doing. Any questions, anything? I do have a Q&A session at the end. Is everyone hanging in there?
Oh, yes. May I just, as people are responding, may I just take the time again to welcome another few other guests that I failed to mention or acknowledge earlier. Pastor Marie, we have Anna Turner on.
Thank you.
Sense iPhone, you're very welcome. We have Joetta. Thank you for coming on. Lorraine, Christina. We have Ruth, Sister Ruth Bond. Oh, her very first time on. Thank you for coming on, Sister Ruth. We have here Shirani. Forgive me for mispronouncing your names. All right, thank you for coming on. Now, just before Dr. Udani continues, listen, I want you to note your questions, drop them in the chat. And if you can't drop them in the chat, please write them down so that when we come to the end of the segment in the next maybe 10 or 15 minutes, you are ready to go. Please don't let this moment pass without asking, digging in to the wide of the vast knowledge that we have here that's being shared with us. All right, ladies? Thank you. So the check-in, how are we doing? All right, we are hearing from Joetta. She's loving it. Okay, great. Thank you, Joetta.
You're welcome.
Lorraine, thank you. Maxine, thank you. We're doing well, Dr. Udani. Vashti, thank you. Great.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So I will keep going, and I'm happy to, of course, share the slides as well with any of the attendees that are interested in getting them. It's my pleasure. Okay. Well, thanks for hanging in, everybody, all the lovely attendees. We're going to continue with the last two things that really drain our vitality. So number 4 is poor sleep hygiene. So, I mean, this day and age where there's so much technology around us, we tend to really put our sleep in the back burner, and sometimes it's actually our own hormones kind of betraying us, especially let's say we're, going through menopause or perimenopause. We have a hard time falling asleep. And things like, late night scrolling on the phone, drinking too much coffee after 3 p.m. All of these can disrupt our melatonin hormone, which is really important for sleep. And it's also actually a very powerful antioxidant that can help with preventing a lot of health concerns. So why is sleep a big deal is because I'm sure you've all had those days where you're just did not have a good sleep, and the next day is almost a blur. You're just not yourself. You just everything kind of affects you more. You don't have the energy, the focus. So it's very important that we are able to balance and have proper sleep hygiene. Now, have you know what your sleep cycle is? So we think that when we go to bed, we fall asleep and then it's one long thing and then we wake up. But actually, our bodies go through multiple sleep cycles throughout the night. So a sleep cycle is composed of 4 stages. The first stage is when we're just about to fall asleep. Then we have the stage where we're lightly sleeping, so our bodies are more relaxed. We're breathing deeper. We feel body temperature drops, and our muscles start to relax. Then we really go into the deep sleep. So this is where we are really, really like heavy sleeping. And then the last stage is the vivid dreaming. This is where we dream. And if any of you remember your dreams, this is that when this happens. So every night we go through about 5 or 6 of this sleep cycle where we have this. And in total, if we should be sleeping for, especially as women, we should actually be sleeping anywhere between 7 to 9 hours of sleep. That's where it really helps with our hormone regulation as well. Now, if you're waking up in the middle of the night and you can't fall asleep, that is related to hormonal disruption. There's too much cortisol in your body, and that's not being balanced. And a lot of times, there's a lot of stress around us, or if we are in the fight or flight, we tend to have some trouble with our sleep as well. So why can't we stop mindless scrolling? This is something that I see a lot in my patients as well, is that sometimes we're just on our phone and we're scrolling, and all of a sudden it's been 2 hours and we're like, where did the time go? Now I can't sleep. I'm too awake. So this has to do with how our brain responds to the scrolling. So when we are looking at the reels, the posts, the Facebook posts, things like that, it actually increases our brain's dopamine. Dopamine, think of it like this happy, it gets released when there's a reward. So it's like with every scroll, every reel or post, our brain is releasing dopamine. So we want to do it more and more and more. But the problem with this is that this is considered cheap dopamine because it doesn't last that long. So we need to keep scrolling to get the same high. Whereas if you were doing a nature walk or if you were exercising, that dopamine lasts a lot longer in your body, and we don't need to chase the high as much as if you were doing the phone. This is why it's really, really important, even if you have children, to limit the screen time, because these pathways in the brain, when it does get established, it gets a lot harder to remove that, right? We need to be very aware and conscious of how much phone time we have. And I'm guilty of this too. Sometimes I'm on the phone, I am on the phone to look for something, and then I'm actually now going down a rabbit hole about something whole different thing. So you have to be mindful of the screen time. Have those reminders, have those screen time locks if you can on the phone, and really try to limit your screen time on the phone, on those apps particularly, as much as you can, because this is cheap dopamine, which don't help our brain. It just keeps it hooked. And we actually end up feeling more drained and more depressed the longer we scroll, because our brain is it's just getting too affected by this cheap dopamine. So some natural fixes to help with their sleep is, you want to create a ritual. You want to make sleep, if you want to have a proper sleep, try to have a whole ritual around sleep. Dim the lights, do a nice little stretching, have some magnesium bisglycinate especially, or make yourself some tea like you're doing right now. Try and disconnect from screens about an hour before bed. If you can do this, try to really have at least the night mode on, so that way you're not constantly exposed to the blue light from the screen. Try to watch calming videos instead of watching things like murder mysteries, the Netflix specials before you go to bed. That tends to raise your adrenaline. Keep your bedroom dark, cool, and tech-free. That's the huge one. Because sometimes, lately there are some people that are developing sensitivities to 5G. So all of these things, like there's so much technology around us that we can actually get very, very highly sensitive to all of this technology in that's surround our day-to-day life. Try and practice gratitude or prayer before sleep to calm the nervous system. I actually have a beautiful prayer at the end of this presentation I want to share with you because it's so important. Power of prayer and power of gratitude to calm the mind and to keep us going as to the next day. And of course, there's no breaker and no brainer. You must stop coffee at least 6 hours before you go to bed. Why? Because coffee takes about 6 hours to fully break down. So if you're drinking coffee later in the afternoon, you might be more awake as the day goes on. And alcohol is another big one. Is that alcohol doesn't really help with your sleep. It really disrupts your melatonin, and it also you might get the hot flashes, the heat. It just does not cause restful sleep. One of my favorite tricks is also to have a red light lamp or even a Himalayan salt lamp that you might be seeing at Indigo or Chapters. That light, that glow is very calming to the eye. So it can be very helpful when we are trying to go to bed. Sometimes though, you might need to do some blood work to really figure out where your cortisol levels are at, especially if you are going through perimenopause and you need some support with hormones. That's something that I can absolutely help with you as well. Okay, now we're going on to the last one, which is toxin overload. So this is toxins compared to the actual chemical physical toxins. There's toxins of all kinds. There's spiritual, there's emotional, there's physical, but this is more to do with the things that we put in our body that is draining our physical pathways of energy. So think processed foods, think lots of chemicals, think takeout containers, plastic water bottles, lot of perfume, beauty products. All of these, for especially women, cleaning products is a big one too. They can burden our liver and can affect our hormone balance. This can lead to fatigue, brain fog, and skin issues. Now, I read a very interesting study that said that women who, well, not necessarily all, not just women, but men too, who clean their home regularly is actually equivalent to smoking 3 packs of cigarettes. And I was like shocked about that because I'm like, how is that possible? But that's because of the cleaning products, the detergents, everything that we're inhaling, and the dust and all of that we're inhaling, and how much it affects our lungs, our lung capacity. So toxin overload should not go ignored either, especially if you are exposed to this all the time. Alcohol is also a toxin. It definitely clogs up your liver. And this can lead to brain fog, fatigue, acne, all these things. This can also deplete our vitamins, think like B vitamins, think magnesium, minerals, zinc, all of that. So, and now, unfortunately, the reality is, we're surrounded by toxins. Like we're surrounded by so many synthetic, man-made things. So it's impossible to fully be not exposed. So we just have to balance and manage how much we can get, as much as we can to reduce our exposure. So, what are some natural fixes and simple shifts we can do? Number one is eating whole, colorful food. Think blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, and reducing our sugar and alcohol. I talked about the roller coaster of sugar, how it can be really bad for the brain as well. Try to swap natural skincare and cleaning products. So, go for natural, low perfumed skincare products. You can even check out this database. It's called Skin Deep to check what your particular makeup product or skincare product, what it rates in the scale of how bad it affects your hormones and the pathways. A really important one is water. Hydration is key because that helps to flush our kidneys of any water soluble toxins. Sweating, making sure you go and get a good sweat on with exercise, getting enough fiber to help you to be have good regular digestion is very important too. And there's, of course, adding greens, lemon water, cruciferous veggies. Cruciferous veggies are things like Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, cabbage. They really help to protect your liver and also to give you a lot of good fiber to trap toxins as well. There's, of course, lots of supplements, lots of herbal medicines that we can have too. Some of the teas that the ladies mentioned are fabulous for helping improve the detox pathways. Something that I recommend a lot to my patients is do a detox a couple of times a year, where you really send some love, some support to your kidneys, your liver, to your lungs, where you're kind of relieving all the toxins. And there's lots of protocols that are individualized to your lifestyle and your diet as well. Now, don't ignore the power of a good bowel movement, because when you're able to have a good bowel movement, that is a big sign of your overall health and how your digestive system is doing. Okay, perfect. So I talked quite a bit, and I'm so grateful that you were here with me till the end. So our takeaways from the 5 drainers are, try not to skip your meals. This can be a huge one for draining your energy and draining your vitality. Living in fight or flight is another one. Check in with yourself always at the end of the day, how you're doing, and if you need support with managing the stresses of your life. Can't say no is another big one. So try to have those boundaries set up. Try to practice the power of the pause, so that way you know if it's good for you or if it's not so good for you. Poor sleep hygiene. So please try to have that good 7 to 9 hour sleep. Try to eliminate the distractions. Journal if you must. Try to eliminate your phone, the doom scrolling on the phone as well. And helping your body be able to clear out those toxins, especially from synthetic products, the food as well that you might be eating, the processed foods. These are the 5 drainers that can really affect your vitalities. And I spoke about the natural things we can do, the everyday habits that we can do to boost your vitality. And I wanted to end my talk with the Serenity Prayer, because I believe this is so true, and it just really connects you to something greater. And it's a beautiful reminder that we are all, in life, doing our best. So I hope that this was a educational but also interactive talk for you, and I hope to see you soon another time.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Dr. Udani, for such profound presentation. Wow, 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 wow. I'm sure we have learned quite a bit here this evening. And I'm going to open up the floor for women who are here online. I see so many questions that are already pouring in to voice your questions to Dr. Udani. But before we go into that, I really have to comment. Oh my goodness, there are so many things that for me, I've learned quite a bit here tonight. The silent trainers. What a good thing we brought this to the forth, the silent drainers, because sometimes we think that it is something else, not knowing that the killers are right in our very homes. The thing that really got me was the toxin overload that's in our homes. The exposure to processed foods, we know that. Household chemicals, that was a big one for me. Household chemicals. It actually poisons our system. Oh my goodness. Wow. Thank you for really opening our eyes, Dr. Udani, to those things. And the beauty products that we use every day, women. Oh my goodness. The good thing tonight is that we are being provided with tips and recommendations how to prevent these different issues or silent drainers. So thank goodness and thank you to Dr. Udani for that. I also want to come in. Listen, let's be very honest here tonight. How many of us, and don't be afraid, How many? Because this is a lifestyle of, this is transformation. We're in the Flourish Room. That's what we're here for, to grow, develop, transform, and be better, and to be healthier. How many of us use our phones right up to it when we go to beds, our beds, we have them in our beds. And listen, you know what we do sometimes, and I'm speaking about of myself as well. So let's begin to reflect and check the practices, that the things that we do that also contribute to our to poor health. How many of us, we are looking at videos and we might not be doing the mindless scrolling, but videos that are ministering videos, for example, videos that talk about, you know, um, how to get to deliverance and all of those different things. And we say, oh, but this is something that is helping me. But really, it is bedtime. How many of us do that? How many of us really, yes, I see a couple of hands going up. Now we're hearing we have to choose our bedtime, be very intentional about that, and prepare for bed to sleep, because rest is very important. Leave your phones out of your bedroom 1 hour before you go to bed. We heard that from the doctor. I remember even my son, when he was growing up, his doctor, his pediatrician, thank you, Lena, his pediatrician said that screen time needs to be cut off at a certain time, because it keeps you heard it, that dopamine level going. All right, so we're gonna get to the questions. I have one I'm very concerned about, something Dr. Udani said at the very beginning about dementia, and how too much sugar in the brain can actually cause or lead to dementia. I'm concerned about as seniors. I'm caring for my mother, not that she has dementia, but I want to know that. To know how to actually care for our seniors, so that they can that they don't go into this illness of dementia, because we've been hearing that so many seniors experience, or it seems to be almost like an automatic thing, where they suffer from dementia. So how can we help our seniors, that we are our loved ones that we are caring for, to avoid this disease?
That's a great question, Adela. So I would, and you're right. Like, this it's a scary condition, because you almost see your loved one kind of disappear in front of your eyes because of the memory changes, the personality changes, and they become someone that you really have to take care of. I honestly would start by really looking at what they are eating. So, really making sure that their diet doesn't have a lot of added sugar, doesn't have a lot of processed foods, a lot of high carbohydrates, and making sure that they have something similar to the Mediterranean diet, which is a lot of more lentils, more whole wheat, more fresh fruit, fresh vegetables. The fatty fish is a really big one with the brain. Omega 3s, you might have heard of. They can really help to slow down progression. And especially big one is if your loved one has type 2 diabetes, to please make sure it's well managed, because that if it's not well managed, that can lead to complications, and one of the complications is affecting the brain and the mind. So I would really start with the foundations, which is diet, and even, kind of promoting them to have some exercise, some routine, because the more blood flow to the brain, the better it's able to function. Oh,
You're muted.
there. Your mic is muted, Adele.
Sorry, thank you. Can we take some, thanks for responding, Dr. Danny. Can we take some of the questions in the chat, Vash?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so Dr. Danny, Ruth has a question here. She's asking, can you eat blueberries if you take blood thinners?
Yes. So blueberries are really, really great. And you can have up to 1 bowl of blueberries. They don't affect your actual thinning of the blood. It will not affect the medications to that extent. So yes, you're completely safe to take blueberries, even honestly any berries. I would really stay away from, or just ask a healthcare practitioner if you're doing omega-3 fish oils or anything with turmeric in it. Those tend to be a bit more, they tend to affect the blood thinning medicine more than blueberries do. So you're safe to take blueberries.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that. Another question here from Hannah. I'm a vegetarian and would like to eat tofu to increase my protein intake. However, I have heard that tofu is a hormone disruptor. I have stayed away from it for many years because I have high levels of estrogen in my body. Can you advise if tofu is safe to eat?
Yes, great question, Weena. So yes, tofu used to get a bad rep before, and because it was found to have quite a lot of plant-based estrogen in it. But if you have non-GMO tofu, so non-GMO soy, that can actually help to reduce the effect of estrogen in your body, because that that tofu, the estrogen from that can actually help to balance your body's own estrogen. So actually it's shown to reduce the risk of estrogen cancers and things like that. So if you do have some soy or tofu, just make sure it's non-GMO, and it is a good source of protein that you can have even if you have high estrogen, because it actually does help balance the effects of estrogen. It can be protective, so it
Oh,
is good.
okay. Thank you
Okay,
for
great. Thank
yeah,
you. Before Vashti goes on to the next question, please feel free to open up your microphones and raise your hands, because I know that sometimes typing may take a little bit longer than you would um, want to. So please feel free to just raise your hands and open up the microphone, and we'll acknowledge your questions. Go
awesome.
ahead, Vashti.
All right. What are the top from Andreen? What are the top 3 lifestyle shifts you can recommend to stop silent drainers before they become burnout?
Yes, so I really recommend the making sure you have good meals. So things like not skipping your meals, because that is huge. I think that's a big foundation, where if we don't have proper food, we don't have proper foundation, right? So we don't have good diet. So that can really stop us from going for the sugar, having those crashes that can down the line become that can disrupt our stress response and become burnout. So I would highly recommend adding more protein into your diet. We might number one. Number two would be practicing the box breathing. So when things get tough, things get difficult, or where you're just feeling overwhelmed, you have to consciously practice that. That way, it stops and slows down your fight or flight system. So box breathing is really great for that. And number three, honestly, I think I like to practice one small act of joy, something that gives me joy every day. So, for example, doing this today gave me joy. So I like to say, try to do something that gives you joy, because then it really does improve your overall health and also your mental health too.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that. And from Maxine, how can we guard against waking during the night, which disrupts sleep?
Yes. So this Maxine, of course, I'm not sure how your own health is, but this could be due to many things. It could be hormonal disruption. It could be because of increased need to go urination, frequency, things like that too. So I honestly would say, like Adela was saying, we have to practice staying away from the phone, because that really disrupts your melatonin, which is what we need to sleep. And try to sometimes even keeping your room cool can be helpful. Even using a weighted blanket is another option, where especially if you have like restless legs or you're moving too much, that can help with your sleep too. I would say really trying to get your body into that rest phase is the most important. So this might mean creating that ritual, having a little tea or having a warm shower before you go to bed. And it can be really helpful.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that. Um, there's one here from Natalie Mendez. As a certified and naturopathic doctor, what is the number one health concern from women over 45? And why should people have a naturopathic doctor in addition to a family doctor?
That's a great question. Thank you, Natalie, for that. So, number one health concern for women over 45, in my practice, is definitely related to perimenopause. So, dealing with the symptoms, everything that comes with the next stage in life, where our hormones some of them start to fall, and so we develop all sorts of symptoms. Everyone's different. So that will be the number one health concern, because over time we want to really have a easy menopause experience, or as easy as it can be. So and this can be anything from joint pain to risk of osteoporosis, weight gain, mental health. And so these are some of the concerns that I really help with my patients who are over 45. And so having a naturopath in your team can be really helpful, because I look at your picture and I do a very thorough assessment. So my visits are quite long, about an hour to 30 to 35 minutes per visit. So we really go over blood work, lab results, and also come up with an individual plan for you. So oftentimes, family doctors, it's like one concern per visit. So whereas with the naturopath, we cover everything to figure out what really is going on, and we connect the dots. That way, you have a plan that addresses all of these symptoms that you might be feeling.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that. I will ask a question for the audience that are approaching the peripause or into the menopause. As you mentioned in your presentation, Dr. Udani, that a lot of us on here are pretty driven women who are doing a lot of championing through in our different spots in life. And so, can you speak to like the burnouts? I know you touched a little bit about that already, but talk about a little bit about more about the hormonal piece of things. So, for me going into perimenopause, and then there are fibroids issues lurking back there, and then the exhaustion, and then having to prioritize self. So I know I need to come to see Dr. Udani for some more for help with helping with my balance in my hormones. But if you can speak to that for to us, like, hey, like, pay attention to this.
Yes, absolutely, Vasha. It's a great question. So I think oftentimes, we think as women, like, okay, we can we're motivated, so this is just going to be another project that we're gonna ace. But it's so different for every woman. Like, for example, like my mom had a lot of depression, a lot of mental health concerns when she went through menopause. For other women, it might be different. So like such a unique picture for everybody. So, and a big one I do see in my practice is women feeling tired when you go through perimenopause because of the hormones changing. So um it might feel like you want to do everything, but you don't have the energy to do it all. And that can be depressing too. So that's where I think I'm able to help a bit more to find the clarity, find the path through this process. And there is thankfully a lot of good. Thank God we live in 21st century. There's a lot of good therapies available, that you might not know of. So why suffer in silence? Why feel alone when there is so much there out there for you to take advantage of? And so that way you can continue to be this high achieving, high functioning woman all the way into your 70s, if you like.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we're just going to keep the floor open just for a little bit longer. Andreen has a question in here. What have we been calling normal that actually quietly drain the life God gave you?
I think that's a great question. So I think the the first thing that came to personally to me was maybe just being around people that we thought we were meant to be around, but they're actually negative, like draining us. So it's considered normal, or it's considered like, oh, the right thing to do, but actually they're quietly draining us, and they're not really helping to fill our cup either. So that is the first thing that came to my mind is, we think about our health, but people that we surround are also part of that too, right? Our health and how we show up in the world. We want to be around people that light us up and push us to be our best. So I would say, don't be around somebody just because it's considered okay or normal, if they're draining you.
Awesome. It kind of ties right back into boundaries. And for those who are on last month, we talked about the circle. Here it comes full circle again, assessing those that you're surrounded by. All right. Are there any more questions? If not, I will turn it right back over to Elder Adele Allen.
All right, great.
Great.
Thank you.
Sister Della, can I ask one last question, please?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Well, welcome again, Dr. Down. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Natalie.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to personally just relate my experience about Dr. Donnie. When I met her, she actually helped me to include herbs in my diet a lot more, and I have seen the benefits. If you want to touch a little bit on the importance of herbs, I know there's a huge number of different kind of herbs, but just the main one that would help with like sleep, even adding a little bit of spice, healthy spice to your meal. But I have been using some of the ones that you recommended to me, and it has literally become a staple in my household. So I want to thank you for introducing me to the herbs. And I think it's very important in many ways, even as a supplement for medication in some ways, which I have been using. So thank you for that. So you can just mention a little bit about herbs. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that, Natalie. Yes, so I love herbs. They're so good. They're so convenient too. We can easily get them. We can make teas from them. We can put it into our meals. There's a lot of herbs that can help boost your immune system, that can be good for digestion too. Some of my personal favorites are, I love rosemary, thyme. These teas can be really great for boosting your immune system, but also for your digestion. I love clove tea with ginger, which what I'm drinking right now. Great for your digestion, great for really clearing out, detoxing your body. I also recommend, if you're dealing with some digestive issues, ginger is a great herb. Very warming. So for women, it's very good for digestion too. Like a lot of times we tend to feel cold in the winter months, so it's very warming. Some other things is, let's say you're experiencing, for example, hot flashes with perimenopause. Sage tea is a really great addition to have in your day-to-day. That can be really helpful too. I'm sure I'm forgetting a few. Trying to remember if there's anything else I want to add. I would add fennel is a really great one. If you're especially feeling bloated and you need some help with digestion, fennel is fabulous to take as well.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I'm just going to piggyback off of Natalie's comment. I am also a patient of Dr. Udani's, and I remember, but actually, Natalie is the one who referred me to Dr. Udani. So referrals work. There you go. And I recall going to my family doctor and doing all of my blood work and everything like that, and being introduced to Dr. Udani and having to address high blood pressure, having to address the fibroid situation. I remember the times when I would just get up in the morning and I'm crying, don't know why I'm crying. My husband is confused. What's wrong with this lady? And thank you, Dr. Udani, for helping me balance my hormones and get me back in check. And this machine is running really good again. So thank you.
I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you, Vashti. Thank you for being such wonderful patients, both of you.
Okay, great. Wow. And thank you for participating, everyone. Um, a few more takeaways, just list 4. Um, cooling the fire. That one stood out to me. I'm so grateful for that information. Knowledge is power. So everybody remember to check the position of your tongue. Make sure it's not at the roof of your head. It should be laying flat on the floor of your mouth. So check. Be conscious, be aware of what's happening in your body. We know we go to the herbs, that's the next one. Take your ashwagandha, the herbs. Rest is important. And then clean your homes less. No, the doctor didn't say that. Just be mindful of the cleaning products. All right, those are 4 outstanding takeaways for me. All right, I think we've come to the end of this session. I would like to have your feedback. How did this session impact you, ladies and gentlemen? How did this session impact you? For me, it was highly informative. I am now more knowledgeable of simple things, the silent drainers, and that's the key thing. I am more knowledgeable of the silent drainers that are stealing my health. So I now know what to do. That cleaning, ladies and gentlemen, you know. And for those of us who like to clean, and every day we are cleaning, it just change. Now we have to change some habits, right? Okay. I'll take 2 comments just before we close off. And in the meantime, I just want to take this opportunity one more time. It is always a pleasure to have you, Dr. Udani. You're so informed, and thank you for freely sharing these important health information with us. By the way, talking about referral, Dr. Udani, this very warm and kind-hearted woman, is offering $75 discount for your first consultation. $75 discount. All right. So please feel free to capitalize on this opportunity. We'll drop her contact information in the chat, or you can also just reach out to us and we will certainly connect you to her. But don't even leave here tonight without getting her information. Vashti, can you just drop her contact information in the chat, please? All right. Anybody would like to share how you were impacted tonight just before we close off?
There were some comments in here. I'll just read a few of them. One of them says, "This was so informative. I am so glad I was able to join. Thank you for the invite. Very informative." Another person said, "Okay, oh, appreciate your response. Sorry, 1 second." Another person said, "Amazing session. Very informative."
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity and for me to just share my knowledge. I really value that. So thank you, ladies, for inviting me.
Okay, you're very welcome. Ladies and gentlemen who are on as well, let's not forget the gentlemen. As we are nearing this very busy season, November, December, I want you to remember to take care of yourself. Self-care, very important. Sisters, mothers, aunts, grandmothers, granddaunts, not because, don't just think about your roles and your responsibilities, but and again, don't feel guilty. This is something that not just that you deserve it, but that you need it. So please take care of yourself. I want to leave a scripture with you from Philippians 4, verse 8. And it says, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, I think on these things, whatsoever things are right. And this is right for you, taking care of your body. God expects you to take care of your body. So think on these things. Let's just close in prayer. I'd like for every one of us to just close, open up your microphones, and just give God thanks. Oh, by the way, one more announcement I was missing. So this tonight's session is the last of our session for the year. So the next time we meet will be in January 13th, 2026 will be our next Ascent meeting. So I'll see you in the Flourish Room January 13th. Also, I just want to use this opportunity to announce our next big event will be our Ignite Conference, which will be held April 17th and 18th in 2026. All right, God bless you. Let's just open up and pray. God, we thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to come together one more time. We thank you, God, for our speaker, Dr. Udani, who has shared so much with us, the hidden things, or secret things that are not weren't very visible to the eyes and even to our knowledge. We thank you for that information, God, that now we're much more aware and we're better able to take care of ourselves. We thank you, Lord, for every woman and man who have come online here tonight. We thank you for their lives. I pray, God, that you will bless them, strengthen them, give them the courage and the confidence to take care of themselves. In your precious name, we pray, God, that you will bless, Lord God Almighty, their family or individual families, Lord, who rely on us. Likewise, oh God Almighty, for direction and care, Lord God. Help us, Lord God Almighty, to support each other in every way, form, and shape, God. Hallelujah. So that we can grow together, thrive in the name of Jesus Christ. We thank you, God, for your blessings upon us. In your precious name we pray. Amen. God bless you all.
Amen.
Enjoyed being in the room,
Man, good night.
all of these
Good night.
information.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Good
God
night.
bless you. Good night.
Yeah, everyone.
Have a good night.
Good
Good
night.
night. God bless.
Have a good night, everyone. I'll see you
Good night.
in the next Flourish Room,
Mm.
January 13th.